you and where you from?
All right. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm from the east side of Detroit.
Okay, okay.
Um, yeah, I'm from the east side, and I went through DPS. Basically, like most native Detroiters, come from the hood, of course. you know,
Yeah.
and I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I'm a college grad as well, and I come up from. I guess you could say I come from a working class. You could say working poor family and neighborhood. I'm kind of like from the, like always say like the Kettering area. That's where I come from. That
Okay, so like
area.
Van Dyke in like 94 or
Yeah,
further up?
yeah, yeah. It's like Van Dyke 94, right there, that area. Yeah, so that's where I'm from. So, I mean, I was like the first male in my family to graduate high school, first college. So a
Okay.
lot of things I did in my life, it was like I was the pioneer in many respects because I didn't really have too many, I would say, male role models coming up. Not to throw shade at anybody I grew up around, but it just wasn't
Yeah.
like a lot of uh, male role models when I was coming up. You have people that would tell you what to do, but they wouldn't lead by example. And so,
Exactly. Yeah. They always
well,
tell you like you should be doing this, but they can't show you how to actually do it.
right, right. I
Yeah.
remember being in the car with my cousins, riding with an older male relative in my family. And he told us, if you ever want to be something in life, don't never smoke weed. And then he started smoking the weed right in front of us.
Cliche.
We sitting in the back, we sitting in the back, we looking at each other, we just laughing. I'm like, we thought he was, I mean, he was serious though. But you gonna tell us not to take a weed? Then you go puff it right in front of us, and right riding in the car with us.
Yeah.
So
So how do you think your environment and your upbringing had a play on the man you are today?
that had a huge impact. I mean, that's like everything starts with that environment. We don't choose the situation we're born into, but everything starts with the environment. Like I guess I was born into a family. I don't want to make it seem like it was just. I guess all our situations are unique, in our families,
Mm.
but it was like a lot of people that grew up in my community. A lot of times I didn't even coming up. I didn't know I was even come from a poor family because I just thought that's what life was. Because all I knew was just my environment.
Yeah.
I didn't know that how we was living was there was a lot of poverty. I didn't know how we was living like it was even an issue with what was going on because it's all I knew. I remember eating sugar breads. That ain't good for you. Pork and
Yeah.
beans and hot dogs with a lot of sugar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
Man,
remember
put that.
those days.
Hey, you get a slice of bread, put some butter on it, put some sugar on it.
Yeah, yeah. So oh yeah. We and the toast we put on
Yeah.
the bottom of the oven. And we put the well, you put like the five pieces of butter, two at the top, one in the middle, and two at the bottom.
Yeah.
You put jelly on it. I mean, it was just all that. So I didn't know it was really an issue because that's all I knew, and that was just life. But as I grew, and I always say this, like most people really don't grow. And I know people be like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'm not here to moralize on anybody or act like I'm better than anybody else. I said a lot of people grow to a certain extent, and then it's like they don't grow no more. And I learned that from a lot of the adults I grew up around. Like when I began to read and I began to ask questions about a lot of things, there wasn't a lot of them that I could really, really talk to about it.
Yeah.
And they would just set me down. They're like, okay, don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear that. And, and it can be kind of frustrating
Yeah.
because I started like to, to, to like open my mind and start reading about my history, my culture, when I was like 14 years old, because my teen years was the hardest time of my life, and so I was looking for some escape, and I was actually I had suicidal thoughts because it got so dark in my life,
Mm.
but only three things stopped me from
That's
committing
real.
suicide.
No, that's
Yeah,
real. That's real. No, like
yeah. So
if you don't
mhm.
mind, can you harp on that a little bit? Because right now it's some youth that's right now coming up in the same environments that we came up in, and they don't know how to challenge those thoughts or how to fight through those thoughts. So if you don't mind, can you kind of harp on what kind of led you to those thoughts and how did you find your way? I know that you was about to go into that, but
Mhm.
can you kind of harp on like what kind of influenced those thoughts or what kind of triggered, like triggered the depression or the suicidal thoughts in you?
Yeah. Well, like I would say, just coming up in that environment where
Yeah,
you, of course, I mean, coming up, my my biological father wasn't really in my life like that,
yeah,
so he was more so focused on the street, like the street lifestyle, I would say.
yeah,
So and it was men around, but people don't realize sometimes how important having the people that side you in your life is. You can have like, and it's no shade at anybody that have step parents that are come in and step in their life and do a great job, and I admire them because I had people in my life as well. But sometimes you just never know how much you long to have the people that side you be a part of your life. It's just
yeah,
like it's like because in a way when you're a kid you feel like you know that something is missing. Like if your mother or father doesn't want you, of course my mother was in my life, but my biological father wasn't. You feel like it's an issue. You feel like something's wrong.
yeah,
Sometimes you think like, did I do something wrong?
yeah,
So so I start with the root. But at age 14, I witnessed a shooting. I would say, and it was
mhm,
like and it just kind of like changed the whole trajectory of my life, and it was like it put me in a deep state of paranoia because it involved family members, I should say that. So it was a real
yeah,
situation, and I was paranoid. I was worried about all kind of retaliation, all kind of different things I was concerned about, and I had nothing. I had a lot of times I didn't have nobody to turn to because the whole my family and we were dealing with what we were dealing with,
yeah,
and it was a frightening time for a kid. I know we grew up in the hood and we all sound like we hard, but at the end of the day, we human, and you know, we. I mean, it could be frightening. No matter how bad you think you as a 14-year-old, you're still a kid.
yeah,
So for me, I was looking for some escape. I was worried about drama, more things popping off, and I was didn't have nobody to talk to, and I was afraid. I was alone, and I felt, you know, that you know, I just didn't have nobody. Of course, I had my mom, and she's a great mom. I had people, but it was just like I had self esteem issues, and it had been there. It just didn't come from that. That's just like it exacerbated the situation. So it was all
yeah,
dealing with my childhood and coming up in a home where you had alcohol abuse, drug use, you know, for people that was physically abused. It's things that we sometimes, think is normal, but it's not till you grow you realize that this is abnormal. And something is
yeah,
wrong here. So it all come from the root to the fruit. Like it all came from the beginning to the end. And I'm not going to act like everything about my childhood was bad because it wasn't. Because I had two real grandmamas, I would say, like the real big mama. So it was good
yeah.
times though, but it was the bad times. And so that's what kind of led me to all the stuff I was dealing with, and that incident just took it to a whole nother level, and I didn't. So the only thing that stopped me from like committing suicide was one, I didn't want to leave my mom. Two, I was afraid to do it, and three, I was brought to believe at that time that if you committed suicide, you'll go to hell. So
Yeah,
those are the only thing that kept me here, and they kept me here. So I was looking for answers. I was looking for questions about like why my community like this, why the black condition is the way it
yeah,
is, like why my city the way it is, why we kill each other, like why we hate each other, why we always so violent with one another. And I found understanding and learning about my history and learning about I would say to me the man that had the biggest impact on my life was a man that I never physically met. A man that was gone like for probably 40 years at that time when I started to really started to read and learn about him. That was Malcolm X. And I watched the movie,
okay,
Spike Lee movie.
yeah,
Yeah, Malcolm X. I watched the Spike Lee movie. I read his book. I read that book multiple times. I probably read it like once every year now, and I find something new out of it still to this day.
yeah.
And it just started to answer a lot of questions about the things we go through as black men. And I started reading a whole lot of other books about the things that we go through as a people, souls of black folks. Nathan McCall, Makes You Want to Holler, Young Black Man in America,
Yeah.
Elvis Cleaver, Soul on Ice. Just everything just gave me understanding like, okay, now I see what I'm going through, other people went through. And that's
Okay,
what
so oh my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. My
Oh no,
apologies.
no, it's right. Oh no, it's cool. So I realized what I was going through. I realized that even though I felt alone, I wasn't alone. I see
Okay.
that this path I'm traveling was other people have been through what I went through. In some cases even worse. And they gave me the strength to know, okay, well, they can make it, I can make it too. You know what I'm saying? That's just gave me a sense of ethnic pride, and it just kind of like changed. And it still was hard times after that because those teenagers, they still was hard because even when I got knowledge of self and I started reading a whole lot, it's like I didn't fit in with my peers because the stuff I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about, they didn't care
Yeah.
about, and they didn't,
That's
they
a
didn't
real.
don't even think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So if you don't mind
so
me
it's just,
asking, you harped on Malcolm X. What was it about Malcolm X that inspired the inner you to kind
mm,
of want to take that? I wouldn't say that leap, but
hmm
want to take that progression in life and not just be a victim of your circumstances, but be more so triumph or more so I'm trying to find the right word to say. You like basically you didn't want to be a victim of your circumstances. Long story
yeah,
short, what was it
yeah,
about
they want
Malcolm
to.
X that inspired you to want to grow and challenge yourself as a man?
Okay. Well, what it was about Malcolm X is that at that point, I was looking for answers, and like suicide wasn't an option no more.
Yeah,
See, I probably would never discover Malcolm X in the way I did if suicide was an option. Like I said previously, those three things stopped me from committing suicide. So I had to find a reason to live. I had to figure out something because I wasn't finna commit suicide. So if I was going to commit suicide, I would never got to Malcolm X. So I had to
yeah,
find some inspiration. I had to find a purpose. I had to have a reason for living, and that's what he gave me. But it also, I was looking at the same time. What I realized that I was looking for a role model. I was looking, in a way, I was looking for a hero. As much as
yeah,
I love my mom, that's my heart.
yeah,
At the same, my mama couldn't teach me how to be no man.
yeah,
It's like, don't get me wrong. Black women, they have their own, their struggle and our struggle is one first and foremost, but they have their
yeah,
own issues and own things they're dealing with. But as black men, we have our own things that we dealing with,
yeah,
and only another black man can help me with that. And so Malcolm X became for me like a rubric for manhood, and more importantly, a rubric for black manhood. When I saw him, I saw a man
yeah,
that wasn't afraid to speak truth to power, a man who stood up, a man who had discipline and focus. He had everything that I didn't see none of the men around me had. And that's what made
yeah,
me more disciplined. That's what made me more focused. That's what made me like not get into the streets, even though everything was around me and it was tempting, money, and you see fast money, you see the women, all that,
yeah,
and that got me on the right path. As a youth, and I was able to channel all that energy to something positive, like reading books, and I was able to start writing poetry. I even did my rap thing for a minute. You know,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I even did,
yeah,
because went to a couple of boxing gyms. I wasn't able to stay in there long because sometimes I had the trainers be gone all the time. So, but that's
yeah,
like my favorite sport still to this day. I enjoy boxing and all that. So it just gave me a different outlet, and it just made me want to do good. It made me want to make my mama proud, because we've been through a lot. I'm sure because what it's like growing up in Detroit. I love my city. It's no one
yeah.
city to me, but it's a
Especially on
tough
the east
place.
side.
Oh yeah,
And then you
yeah, but it's a
talking about
definitely
the
tough
trials
place
and
to go.
tribulations of going through DPS. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
you want to talk
But,
about prison, like school to prison pipeline.
yeah,
Yeah, that was real. The first thing you see when you go into school was security guards, metal detectors. You getting frisked down after school. You got to deal with not getting jumped. Trying to even if you at the bus stop was like a target area.
yes, it was. I
So
remember.
so it's like you having to learn how to navigate that without succumbing to your environment. Man,
Mhm.
that was something. So
Yeah,
you you touched on how you got into reading more and that and then also you got into the physical like sound mind sound body you start getting into like boxing and things of that nature
mhm.
but at one point did you start I mean that kind of led you to self-discovery but at what point did you realize you wanted more for yourself.
Mm. That's a good question. What I realized was what I wanted more. The weirdest thing for me, because I remember being in high school,
Yeah,
remember filling out senior year. Well, before that, I'll tell you what happened. Me even this is just a good question because even when I got knowledge of self and I started to read, I had a breakdown. Even after learning about Malcolm and getting into it, I had a breakdown about like the ages. 16 years, when I was 16, I had to go to an asylum for 5 days.
Yeah,
You
for
know, and
real.
yes, yeah,
Damn,
yeah,
bro, that's real deal.
yeah.
That's real deal.
So I had to go. I had to go there, and like if you asked me a few years ago, this is why I was able to talk about so much in my book. A few years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell nobody because I was embarrassed about it,
Yeah.
embarrassed about it. But I remember it's the
Damn,
place.
bro.
It's actually that place. Right there on 7 Mile. 7 Mile. I had to go to an asylum because I had a real breakdown, and I was like I just can't do it, and But I remember being in there for 5 days, and I've been in there. I said, no, man, I was laying on that bed and doing push-ups, and I was like, man, this ain't it. I just got to step my game up. I got to really handle this. So,
Yeah,
it was like an epiphany while I was there, and I said, I'll never in my life get that low again, and I never did. Never did ever. At the age 16, 17 years old, when I was in my senior year of high school, I went there. I just did so well in high school. I remember my teacher telling me that I could write for the newspaper. I
yeah,
was one of the few people in the school who got an A in English, and she's like, "You can write for the newspaper." She told me all that thing. And then I remember going to my graduation. It was Kwame Kilpatrick spoke at my graduation. It was at the Detroit Opera House in 2007. And I remember walk across stage, and my teacher told me, "Congratulations, future writer." Years later, I got back to what I love to do, like writing, and after going through, being a professional, going through college, going through ups and downs of life, just dealing with life, and
yeah.
I got back to my purpose. I wrote my memoir, Black Boy Rise. So that's what just made me want more. After I just, I knew after high school, after high school it was like, okay, now what now? Because I graduated high school, now it's gonna be weird when you wake up the next day and you like, okay, well now I ain't got to go to school no more. So what am I gonna do with the rest of my life?
Yeah. So how like that's gonna lead to my next question was how big do you think mental health awareness is in the black community? Because a lot of times a lot of us we go untreated,
Mm.
unheard, and unhelped. And
Yeah,
just recently somebody committed suicide and I happened to be down on Jefferson at the time. A young lady committed suicide. She jumped off like the 28th floor. She held on for about 12 hours, but
wow.
she ended up, falling to her death. But it's a lot of us that's suffering through depression, PTSD,
Hmm.
and suicidal thoughts. But we kind of normalize it in a sense, like, oh, I'm ready to die, or
Hmm.
like, or like we just kind of become a functional depressed. I think it's called functional depression, when like you can
Uh,
function with depression, but you're still depressed. And
right.
a lot of us we go undiagnosed and unhelped.
You know, what's interesting about that is that it's just been a war on our people. You know,
Yeah,
so it's been a war on our people, and I look back at when I was a kid. Me and you, same generation, so you know about this as well. I look back when I was a kid, and I remember like we used to look at suicide as a white thing. You know,
yeah,
so even when we were kids,
yeah,
like it was a white thing. Like we weren't doing that. But we never said we weren't doing that. We used to look at us killing our own kids, like literally killing our own kids, as that's what stuff the white people do. Like we don't do that, but we realize the more and more we've been under attack, the more and more our morale, our code, our moral fiber of our community, it has declined each generation. Each generation
yeah,
is like the only thing we haven't had was like it's like the mass shooters now. Except that
yeah,
one incident, I guess, with the brothers back when we was in middle school, like in DC. But like that's what people was like so surprised about that. I don't know if you remember that the sniper was supposed to be in
yeah.
DC.
DC
The brother,
sniper. He was a
yeah,
little boy and an older man.
yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. So it's just like it's a constant war on us, and like each generation, I say is like it's only going to get worse and worse until like we actually come together
Yeah,
and really deal with. That's why I talked on my podcast before. I said the best thing you can do sometimes is sit with your pain, like to really sit with it and like really deal with it and know that I'm in pain, that I'm hurting,
Yeah,
and that I gotta do something about it. Like, don't deny it. Don't, even if you lie to everybody else, when you lay down at night, try to be real with yourself. Like, I'm not
yeah,
happy here. It's pain. But to get to directly to your question, like mental health is of the utmost importance. I mean, it, I think it's right now. I think it's the number one thing in our community because you
yeah,
can talk about economic development, how we need to support black business, which we do, but it's not going to matter if your mental health is messed up. You know, it's not
yeah,
going to matter when we're not getting to dealing with this trauma. I look back, I love my grandma to life, but I look back at even some of the things that we grew up under. And my mom, she didn't like when I said this, but I'm one of, I believe in critiquing your parents and your grandparents. That's the only way you're gonna get better. I don't believe in keeping things for the sake of tradition. If it doesn't make sense, if it's not, we're growing for, then we need to, get rid of it.
yeah,
Now, if some things are still good, we need to keep it, but still modernize it. So I just look back at some of the things, like even some of the whippings and some of the name calling,
yeah,
some of the things that happen in the household, and the switches. Like, I don't have children, but like I wouldn't whip my kid with no switch.
yeah.
Now, I know some people, you being soft, you soft. No, I don't think it's us
I
being soft
ain't gonna lie,
necessarily. I
growing
think,
up, that was the thing though, like getting
oh,
whooped with
yeah,
a switch. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm asking you. So you don't lie. What about plastic bats?
Shit, man, I
You got plastic bats
I got
or
whooped
house
with
shoes.
I got whooped with a lot of stuff. I know I'm laughing at it, but I get
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. That like our, our disciplining was not the norm. So when we looked at like a Johnny or a Bobby or Bob from like the suburban school, like you be like, man, you must not get whooped at home. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like oh, you get the chance to do whatever you want. I was getting slapped if I talked a certain type of way or if I did certain things. I get my ass whooped. I get my ass beat basically.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then
that
the
was
name calling too. All that name calling, calling people
yeah,
out their name, and beat the black off for you,
yeah,
and talk putting each other down. Then we got this thing where, oh, we preparing you for the world. No, that's not preparing you. Like, you should tearing me down, really. Like, because when I walk out of this door, I ain't gonna get no love. So I should get all the love I can get in this house.
yeah,
Now, you want your kids to be mentally tough, emotionally strong, because you understand everybody's not gonna like you. Everybody don't like me. Everybody
yeah,
ain't gonna like you, no matter what you could do. So that's a given. You want to build them up to know that, and that's okay. Sometimes when people don't like you, just especially if they don't like you just for being you, not because you're trying to hurt nobody, not because you hurt anybody they love, or just mess with
yeah,
people in general, just because they don't like your personality. I mean, you just gotta. Hey, I'm not for everybody. Everybody ain't for me. You just gotta find your tribe, essentially. But it's just like a lot of abuse went on in that household. Like, and I even talked about it in my book, and I wasn't trying to embarrass nobody. I was just really talking about my own stuff.
yeah.
So it's just like that's something we really really gotta really gotta deal with, because I mean, I think it's only going to get worse. It's only
So
going
I
to
got a
get
question
worse.
for
And
you.
mm-hmm,
My my bad. I'm not trying to cut you off,
that's
but
all.
how did you find the confidence to kind of go against the social norms? That's a term I end up learning later on, and just education wise, like social norms. Like even when you reach your hand out for, like for a handshake, it's a sign of respect if a person shake your hand. Person don't shake your hand, you take it as disrespect. That's sort of like the
Mm,
social norms. It's like something that we don't necessarily got to speak on, but we know normally the handshake was a respect thing. So you going against the whole like what you saying, like getting whooped with switches, the name calling, like if people calling you dumb, stupid, even though it's your family or something like that, and they be like, oh well, you did something dumb, you're dumb. If you're stupid is what stupid does.
mm,
Like taking that and understanding that, like, yeah, but those not words that are helping me build my confidence. Those are words that are actually putting me down and make me feel like maybe I am kind of like I like a part of you, like you want to fight against it. Like I know I'm not dumb. Yeah, I did
mm.
something that wasn't smart, but I'm not dumb. Like don't call me dumb. Like I got the grades to prove that I ain't dumb.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
but having those. like, yeah, like how did you fight against those social norms and understanding that you're going to get some backlash? Because it's a lot of people out there that want to speak up or defend themselves versus certain different type of, old school ways or attacks, but it's like it's the norm. Like
It
somebody
really
calling you
is.
soft because you crying all the time, or you tend to cry because you in touch with yourself and you understand releasing. Like, all right, it's okay. Like, shout out to Melanin Children Matters. She was talking about how it was okay to cry, but growing up as a black male and on the east side of Detroit, you talking about you gonna go cry, and people gonna look at you like, hey, bro, stop being soft, bro. Like, we don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's just like, and that's why another thing with like black men, that's why we hold so much in, like, cause
Yeah.
like it's just like, I did another show on my podcast, they said why black men are hardened. That was the name of it, and I said the reason we are a lot of times because we live in the environment. Typically, most of us come from the hood where our masculinity is at a premium.
Mm.
And it's always God want to try you. I remember my cousin telling me when I was younger. He's like, excuse the expression, but he said, niggas always gonna be trying you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. No, but that's
he
real.
told, he told me that he's like it's just what it is. Like you can mind your business. You went through school, DPS. I used to be sitting at your desk. God try to take your pencil off your desk. What you gonna do? Like, bro, don't complain. Give my pen. What you gonna do? Little stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got unhappy people a lot of times. A lot of us unhappy, and that's why we bother other people because misery does love company. But getting back to like, I want to ask you a question like, why? How did I get strong enough to get past that? It was hard. It was hard, man. And it really is. It was like a constant battle, man. It was just like sometimes I wish when I became conscious, and I wish sometimes I wish I wasn't conscious because I can't act like I didn't see it. I
Yeah.
couldn't play
Yeah.
dumb no more.
Damn, that
I
was
couldn't.
deep.
Yeah,
I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie to
yeah,
you, that was deep right there because it was at a point that I completely understand it. Then you be like, damn, I know this ain't
yeah,
right, but
yeah.
this is the norm. So if I speak out or if I act against it, now I'm more so like I'm alienating myself from the norm, basically. Like, oh well, shit, that ain't right, bro. Like, we
Yeah.
shouldn't. Bro, why we always talking about each other? Like, we ain't uplifting each other. We talking shit about each other. But then
Always.
that's what we do, though. Like,
Mhm. And I had to learn that because I grew up in an environment, so I was doing that myself.
yeah,
I was putting my own cousins down, but
yeah,
I was putting a lot of them down because I didn't feel good about myself coming up.
yeah,
And, that's what it do. Hurt people. But to tell you like what kind of environment I come from, in particular the family, man, I had an older male relative tell me that I was gay because I read books.
oh
I mean, just
wow,
like that.
yeah,
I mean, he literally told me, yeah.
yeah,
So literally, like, so that's where I'm coming from. Like, I
yeah,
mean, that type of environment because I read books that I was gay, and it was always, those little jabs. How people try you with a little sarcasm when they make always, you got to watch a lot of sarcastic people a lot of
yeah,
times, because sometimes there be a lot of hurtful comments and like they just make comments like, cause I'll read. And they be like, oh, he gonna be here building a bomb and gonna blow us all up one day. Like it was just always so like,
yeah,
cause I'm reading a book, like it was all that, or he gonna do something crazy, and all he do is read books and all that. I mean, and I just look at and getting back to how some of our mothers how they always try to say uh, we got whoopings and we had to be in the house at 9 o'clock and all that. And so one of I'm hard as on my mama some generation, which is your mama some generation as well.
yeah,
Because what I say about them is I always tell them like, don't get me wrong, we got some of that too. Like coming up, we had to be in the house at 9 o'clock. We know about street lights, the millennials. We know about some of
yeah,
that. We had big mamas and all that. We remember that coming up in the '90s and stuff like that. So we know something about that. We remember how the city was. That was nice and all that. But I always tell my mom, I said,
yeah,
y'all kind of like criticize us and talk about how we don't have no respect. I said, but do you remember that y'all generation was the ones that sold crack? You know what I'm saying? Y'all was the ones that boosted up the
yeah,
murder rate.
yeah,
It wasn't us that did that. You know,
Mm.
they don't get mad. I say y'all was the ones that Chandler Park. You know, y'all the reasons called Scandal Chandler.
Mm.
The city and stuff like that. Like y'all was the ones down in Freaknik. You know,
No, for
all
real.
this stuff like y'all generation. But
Bringing that up,
but they
yeah,
all
no, but for real though, for real,
they
for
be
real.
so critical of the generations that our generation. Then like I see us now that we getting a little older. Like now we doing the same thing. I'm not saying
It's
me and
just
you, but
that the
a lot of us
internet
doing the
is
same
more of
thing.
an eye on it now. Cause like even when
Yeah.
they brought out the Freaknik documentary, a lot of people wasn't expecting to see their faces. They just
Mm-hmm.
did what they
Mm-hmm.
did and went back home, and it was like Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yep. Yep.
But then
I mean.
now, because we got the internet, people posting exactly what they're doing. They're talking about
Mm-hmm.
it. They're having them type of conversations. So now it's not like what happened on the block stayed on the block. Now it's like what happened on the block is now across the whole internet.
Like public domain, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, but that's why I say, like, man, it's just like we just really gotta really deal with it. And and my views have like changed because I done been involved in a lot of activism, like in the city with certain activists in our city and stuff like that. Been a part of
Yeah.
organizations and stuff. But what I could say is this, I'm hopeful, and that's why I'm still here, and I still encourage young brothers and sisters when I say them. But I gotta be quite clear when I say is that our future looks bleak. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people, and I know it's good things is happening, but I'm talking about like collectively, it looks bleak. A lot of people say, "Oh, you just focus on the negative." No, I'm looking at the reality of the situation, like how you
Yeah.
got like even at the community, like with black men and women like fighting each other, like it's becoming a thing, like I mean, everybody got different views, but like just the black love, like it's like okay, is it like is that really a real thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, but the only way our community's gonna get better is you gotta have a strong family and foundation. That's the foundation of any community. You know, like the people got to be together. You know, we got to reproduce, we got to love each other. So I just think it's kind of bleak. But I'm always happy when I run into somebody like that's doing something constructive. Because I remember running when my car broke down, I had to call a tow truck. And I was proud it was two young brothers. They both was 18 years old, man, just out of high school. And they came, they came and took my truck, and I gave both of them my book. So we talked for a long time. And it was like, and it was weird because one of them was, I became friends with on Instagram. He was like, "Hey man, I got the book, man. I had a real talk with OG Trey Styles." I'm like, "Wow, OG, OG," because
Like
I'm
damn,
looking
I'm
like that
OG
time.
status now.
Yeah, man, cause that time went by fast. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, gee, for real. Like, cause I just remember literally like being in high school. I was just their age. I was like, where did the time go? And I see
Yeah.
what the older folks are saying, man. But it's just like when I saw them and I talked to them, one was doing a tow truck. He even had a kid. He had said something like, "Hey man, give me some advice on what I do. I got a crazy baby mama." I said, "Look, man."
Yeah.
I said, I
Man.
want to say, man, it's kind of hard when you got one already, like,
Yeah.
because like I'll say, man, I wish I could tell you before you got in that situation, but most I can tell you is like make sure you be there for your child, man, and I say ideally if you can, like the best thing you can get is joint custody,
Yeah.
if you can, in the future. But the other one was in barber school and all that, and I was just proud of him, man. We just sat there just talking about life, like we knew each other for years, and I was telling him like, man, y'all 18, man, y'all doing the right thing, stay on that path, I don't get discouraged out here. I know it's easier said than done, but that's all I could really tell him. Like the stuff I had been through a little bit, and told him like, I know I've been there before, but we talked for a long time, and that was very encouraging. I was like, yeah, man, we still got a future. There's still people out there, but it's just it's few and far in between that you see. Like you can see people get A's and B's in school, but when you see one that's like, not only get A's and B's, but they actually know something about our history and our
Yeah.
people. That's always that's kind of harder to come by. But that's what we need. We're gonna need soldiers. Like we don't need like just being black and successful and you're not really knowing what's up. It really kind of defeats the purpose. Like in a way for the collective, but
Yeah.
it's just like it's just, everybody got different views on that though.
So I got a question for you. What led you to the inspiration, but also the willpower to start your first book, to actually write a book, especially coming from you come from you're not really exposed to too many black authors
Hmm.
that are like that. that have writing clinics or writing workshops. So it's not like we just grow up being like, hey, I want to be an author when I get older. I
Right.
know even
Yeah.
when you was in school, like they said a future writer, but even when they told you that, it took some type of belief within oneself to be like, I am a future writer.
Yeah.
So where and how did you get to that point that like I'm going to write and publish this book by any means
Mm.
necessary?
You know, I had made up my mind. I was you know, I was working you at a university. I was a young professional, and which is really on like about 5 years ago. So I'm working there. I worked so hard, and I got there, and I was proud because it took me a long time to get into my profession. You know, I
Yeah,
grinded a lot of different odd jobs. You know, even though I had a degree, actually got a master's degree, and you know, it took so I did a lot of grinding, and I got in there, and I was happy to be there, and I was like, man, I, I was secure. I became secure enough in myself to talk about things and share things that I wouldn't ordinarily talk about and share.
yeah,
You know how you have when you constantly grow, like you understand it because you on the trajectory to continue growing. You know, some people are not on that. Some people get to a point. I'm cool. I know everything. I'm forever trying to learn and grow. You know
yeah,
I'm different from what I was like even at that time because I know more about myself. I know more about life and relationship, love, and all that. So at that time, I said, man, I want to share my story. I want to
that's
share
true.
my story. I want to share my story. I want to talk about what I went through, the things that everything that really helped shape me, helped me get to where I'm at today. And I just decided, I made up my mind. I said I'm going to do it. And once I make my mind, I said I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it. It started with high school. It started with undergraduate. It started with grad school. Then it started with the book. You know, it's just like anything I said I was going to do, I was going to do, and I just wrote it, and it's just like it kind of just spilled out of me, and it was so therapeutic for me. It
Yeah,
was so therapeutic. It just felt good. It's like, and the thing about the writing process is like one day I might write a paragraph. The
yeah,
next day I might write a sentence. I might just be sitting there and just thinking. I mean, I didn't be writing, but just might be sitting at the table with a pen, pad, just thinking. I was laying on the couch thinking. Just laying in the bed, just meditating. The next day I might write 10 pages. Next day it might be 20 pages. So it was that type of process. No 2 days was really the same, and it just started spilling out of me. And I
yeah,
said, well, I want to start it from. I want to start it from that age of 14, and talk about like when I was, about about Columbus Middle School.
yeah,
Columbus Middle School when I was eighth grade when everything took place, and it was like I just changed everything. And that was what it was like to be in that school, and what it was like to be in that area. You know, uh,
man, Spring Garden and Brock.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
so it was that, and I just went from there, and I just went from that age all the way up to the age I was at that time, and I just told my life story, and I just told I told some things that some men was like, man, I don't know why would you put that out there. I told about some of my most embarrassing moments. I
yeah,
talk about how I was, in this detail. I talk about how I was used to be scared to talk to girls.
no, that's real. No,
Yeah,
that's real.
just everything. Like how I will make up my mind. Let's say you make up
Because
your
right
mind
now
like,
this
oh,
generation is fighting a lot against rejection. And that's why
oh
you're
yeah,
seeing a lot of men lashing out and a lot of women are fearful. They're giving out their numbers just because they like men today can't take rejection. They don't want the backlash that come from them turning you down and saying, no, I can't. I don't want to
yeah,
give you my number. But
yeah.
now they got to be fearful that like you might act out because of the fact that she told you no.
That's true. I mean, it's really a real thing, and I remember
Yeah.
like, I remember like, and it was a real fear, and I remember like just to give you a little bit about when I made up my mind. Let's say I saw a girl and I told my friends
Yeah.
about it. I said, man, she fine. I'm gonna holler at her, and so I will make up my mind. I say, okay, I'm gonna wait till I get my hair cut. Okay, then I'm gonna holler at her. Okay, then
Yeah.
you know how it is. in school, you say you make up your mind, you gonna holler at them. You say, man, I ain't seen her all that. Next thing you know, you go to the bathroom, right? You gotta go to the bathroom. And look who's in the hallway walking.
Yeah.
Who's in the hallway
That
walking? You
one.
walking in the hallway. She right there. You ain't got no excuse. You ain't got nothing to say. I walk by her. I just walk by. I don't say nothing.
Yeah.
And then I don't let her know that I seen her in the hallway. So I make up my mind. Oh, she like, oh, she look like she mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I say I'm gonna go her again. I say, oh, then I see her again. Well, she's like she having a bad day. Then I see her again. I look. I say, oh, well, she probably got a boyfriend. And then you talking with some other guys like, oh yeah, you know I'm talking to such and such now. The girl I like and all. Like, I said, what? He said, what you do? I just went up and hollered at her.
Yeah.
You know, she was nice. She was none of that. And it's like, because you make up all these things in your mind because you don't want to face their rejection because you feel like it, you know, it's personal. You feel like it's like you're a bad guy. You feel like you're ugly, you know, all
Yeah.
these things because of the stuff you do internally. And after getting out there, like really approaching women, you know, you have women that be nasty towards you. You have those with bad attitudes. But from my experiences, you know, they put the bad rep on the sisters. Most still will speak, you know, even if it don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And what I found is like, I mean, a lot of times I was projecting what I thought about myself onto her, but that wasn't really her. That
Yeah.
was me dealing with that.
No, that's real because a lot of times we don't feel adequate to the, I guess, to the chase. I don't want to say it like that, but you will look at a female, and because you look at her as up here, you don't look at yourself as up here. Like, how can I even approach somebody that I looked at up here, and I don't, you know, you don't look at it like yourself. I mean,
Yeah. And then
you
she might like to see
you
herself
don't
like
look at
that. I
yourself
just,
in that way. My bad, but
yeah.
they're
No,
like, you don't feel like you.
my bad. My bad. I keep cutting you off. Sorry about
Oh
that.
no, 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 no. Likewise, my bad, brother. But I was just saying that like it's because I ain't gonna lie, my good it's a blessing I had older brothers, and one of the things that they taught me, the worst thing somebody could tell you was no, and he broke it down to me in the most simplest way. No matter if you say hell no, excuse my language, hell no, fuck no, I'm good, I'm straight, I got a man, like I appreciate you, but I'm all right. It all comes back down to no. So if you can just accept the fact that you're not for everybody, some women is gonna tell you no, and that's cool. That's part of the game. Like that's part of
Yeah,
life.
probably the most.
That's part
Yeah.
of life. If like everything you want, you're not gonna get,
Yeah.
and
You ain't lying about that.
every yeah, and everybody is not for you, and you not for them at that moment in their life. You could be the good guy, the perfect gentleman for them, and you feel like damn, I want to treat you right, but you're not for them right now. And if you can accept that and you can move on that, that helped build confidence in me. Because I was like, I understood, I'm gonna get turned down, but then it's like you still shoot your shot because you might
Mm-hmm.
get turned down by this person, but that person might not be for you. The other person might look at you and be like, I want you. The
Right.
person you want might not want you. That's cool. But then you gotta accept the fact that you're not for everybody. And that's a
Absolutely.
good thing. And sometimes some people view it as a bad thing, but it's really a good thing because you gotta also look at yourself. Do I really want to be for everybody?
Yeah, that's not a good thing because, you know,
Yeah.
everybody ain't right.
Yeah, you can everybody ain't right. So therefore, I'm cool getting turned down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like as I got older, that actually helped build up my confidence. Cause I approach you, turn me down. I'm like, all right, it's cool, baby. You feel me? I understand. It's all right. I'm gonna just, but then you kind of walk away. But now you know that like it's like that extra push. That like, yeah, okay, that shit wasn't as bad as what I thought it was.
Sometimes that might be a spiritual protection as well. You know, you
Yeah,
gotta
like that wasn't as bad as
work on
what I thought it
yourself.
was.
Yeah, yeah,
And like how you said, like I probably escaped. Like I probably escaped that moment because if she didn't really feel me in that moment and I came at her genuinely as myself, I'm good. Like I'm good. Like I'm you know, then as I started to progress in life, it started to become like the fear of rejection. Like at this point in time in life, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't got a fear of rejection because I understand that it's part of life. Like I
yeah,
said, I'm not for everybody, but for who I'm for, they gonna peep it as soon as I approach them. You know, they gonna understand that like, hey, like they gonna see me and I'm gonna see them. I don't have to fight. I don't gotta try to convince you too much. I might gotta, we might still have to have conversation, all that type of stuff, but just the whole essence of me wanting you to accept me for who I am in that moment, you ain't got to, because somebody else will.
Sure. So
And that's what we trying to
and it
find
don't
my
mean
way.
that,
Huh?
yeah, and it don't mean neither one of us are bad people either.
Yeah. It's just
You know
I'm
what
just
I'm saying?
not for you in the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It may not be ever. It may not be ever.
yeah.
So and that's cool too.
So now that's gonna lead me to my next question. How and not how, but also what was the barriers and burdens for you to find like-minded people that was for you? Not just saying that women, but just saying your support group, your advocates, your role models, your mentors. How was it for you to find those right people that was genuinely for you? And did you have to learn to step outside your comfort zone to seek the people that was actually for you and not the people that you wanted to be for you?
That's a good question right there. It was just like I would say it was a long road because the people I found for me, like I would say for me as a teen in particular, I was intellectually ahead of my peers, but in some ways I was socially awkward.
Yeah.
In some ways, and what I mean by socially awkward, I mean like you know the things they want to talk about, I didn't really want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's just like me talking about I'm talking about Malcolm X, talking about black empowerment or stuff like that, talking about being positive. They didn't want to hear that. They talking about the hip hop and all. Although I was talking about the music too, but it was just like it was hard to find people like that. But unfortunately, like in high school, I did become friends with a homie that's still my friend to this day, and
Yeah.
we were very similar. So sometimes, like it's just finding you may not find a lot of people, but you find the right people. It might only be a few of y'all. Like I never been one to have a whole lot of people around me. I do got a big family, but I always had like a small crew of friends and all that. And I found also when I was in high school senior, I found a mentor and like my guy who became my academic advisor at the university I went to in undergrad, and he became like a mentor for me like all through college and life period. And then it was people I met through him. Like sometimes it's like when you meet good people, solid people. Sometimes they got other solid people with them. That's like that's how you can build your network like that. And then going through it, and I realized just being yourself. When you be yourself, you'll find people that's right for you. Everybody ain't gonna be for you. It may not be a lot. They might have 100 people over there. You might only have 5 people. At least these 5 people is down, is solid.
No, I'm
So
not
it's just like I thought.
because I literally just heard a quote that
Mm-hmm.
somebody said that hit me so fucking deep.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, even though it all equals $1. $1.
Mm-hmm.
But you may look at a jar full of 100 pennies and be like, he got a lot of coins. He brung a lot, but them 4 quarters had the same value on my life as." I mean, has more value. Just like not more value. How do you put it? I don't need 100 pennies. I could just find 4 quarters to give me that same exact value as what somebody may perceive as them having 100 pennies. At the end of the day, we both got $1.
Right.
But I just need 4 of them. You went and found 100. So it's like the quality is not always in the number of people that you have with you, because it takes sometimes for you to go through shit to be like, I had a solid 3 to 4 individuals in my life that helped me get through this. Everybody else knew when times got hard or when shit wasn't going, like when I wasn't doing this or doing that, they wasn't there. But them same core group, a couple people, they helped you find your way. So I realized the strength ain't in the numbers of people that you got, it's in the quality of the people that you keep with you. And sometimes that may just only be about a few individuals, but that may be all you need. It may be that one person that can convince you to get up and get active, and it may be the other person that may convince you to think, and it may be another person that may convince you to believe.
Yeah.
I don't need 100 people just feeding me energy though. Like I don't need to be in a big group of people and be like, hey, And now I feel confident now. They help me feel restored. Some people, it is like that. They more social. They like to be in groups. But it's like you kind of find out as you kind of progress in life that like it just take a core group of people to help you get to where you're trying to go. So it's
Yeah,
like, can you still find that same strength, or can you still find that value of $1 with 4 quarters versus 100 pennies?
absolutely. And I like how you put it. That's I mean, it's the best way. The keys is like I mean, what's the point of having 100 people just around, just have them around?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Just like they don't really serve a purpose in your life. You need people. You need people that's gonna really really have your back. Like, and I think that like to the people I deal with. I mean, when you deal with me, you're gonna have a friend for life. But it takes time to get to know me. And open up to everybody, and you shouldn't. Because you got to be careful who you trust. You got to be
yeah,
careful who you put in your business, and all of those things. So what I learned is just I just if they're not for me, they're not for me. Like I'm not one who gonna do things just because everybody doing it. I'm not really a bandwagon guy. So to me, that was my gripe a lot of times with when you was in school, like how you had some of the kids that were more popular who didn't
yeah,
want people who, you know, a lot of, well, I would say most of them, no, not hating, most of them was like kind of fake because it was like, it was all about what was the end thing, what
yeah,
was the popular thing, what was the cool thing. Like, so, and I remember when I tried to fit in, I just realized this ain't my lane. I had a conscience. I was like, I'm laughing and stuff that wasn't funny to me. I'm
yeah,
lying about stuff, saying I'm doing stuff I wasn't doing, and I went home. I was like, why am I doing that? You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like this just ain't me. And some people can live a lie. Like that's just their whole life.
yeah,
Some people have been living a lie their whole life. They don't even realize they living a lie no more. And,
yeah.
so
Because
it's
they
like they
just
just
told
stuck in it.
themselves on the lie.
Yep, they whole reputation, everything is a lie. And
Yeah,
and I kind of hate the where this world going, especially in our community, man. It's just like, so I say in this generation, to be real is to be fake, and to be fake is to be real. That's what it seems
yeah.
like to me.
Oh, for
Like
real.
it's like no
Because
more.
when you fake, you accepted by the many. When you real, you gonna ruffle feathers. You gonna realize you not for everybody. Like going back to what you were saying earlier. When you really yourself, you gonna realize it's people that's gonna accept you for you, and it's people that's not. But when you try to put on that camouflage, like I'm trying to, oh, I want to be accepted by this group, that group, that group. So I'm gonna show them this part of me. I'm gonna show them this aspect of me, and I'm gonna put on a persona with this group so that they can believe in me type deal. If that makes sense. Do you get what I mean by that?
Yeah. I mean, it's like essentially just looking for acceptance.
Yeah,
But to me, but at the end of the day, like it all starts from the root. Like the only people that we supposed to get unconditional love from is our mom and our dad.
yeah,
And I'm just gonna say, like, and if you don't get it from them, you ain't really gonna get it from nobody else but yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Not even your kids, unless you actually involved in your kid's life. So the only people we're supposed to get unconditional love from is our parents. Like if you're not gonna get
yeah,
it from them, then you ain't really gonna get it from nobody else. And a lot of us, like especially in Black society, a lot of us got a lot of holes within us. A lot of us look, and I didn't realize as much confidence as I thought I had, even just up to like what's it like 3 years ago in 2020, I realized that it was still things that was affecting me from childhood. I didn't know was affecting me. I thought I had dealt with
yeah.
because I pushed in the back of my mind as much reading as I did, as much searching for answers and talking to people as I did. I realized there was still holes within me that I didn't realize that was still affecting me from childhood.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, I thought I had dealt with that, but then I went through therapy and I did therapy for a whole year, and I realized like, wow, man, I didn't know I was even still dealing with that.
So
Thought I had got past that.
can I ask you a question about that?
What's that?
Um, because a lot of us in this day and age, we don't actually seek therapy. Like we look at it as like, oh, that's for the weak. Like I don't need therapy. I'm gonna just go ahead and I can smoke the pain away.
Yeah,
Or you
yeah,
feel me? Or they gonna find some different method of coping that actually isn't helping. You just coping with the situation. But
Yeah.
what made you find the confidence and also the belief that I should seek help on my own?
When I realized that it, it was me realizing through like kind of like a relationship, you know,
Yeah,
and realizing that like some of the stuff I put up with, I said I never would put up with.
yeah,
And what I mean is like, see, people don't realize they look at guys like you know, you whack, you soft, if you do all this and all that. And I look at myself
yeah,
as a very strong man, you know, emotionally and mentally and spiritually with a lot of fortitude. But you know, everybody got a boiling point, everybody got a breaking point.
yeah,
But I realized like when I, you know, kind of dealt with some emotional abuse, and I realized that subconsciously I was looking for acceptance with you know the significant other at that time,
yeah,
and I realized like you know, I really got away from. I realized like you know you go through the you know you be together then you part ways. Sometimes it might only for a week or so,
yeah.
and I realized sometimes when I was away for a week I felt stronger, but then when I
Man, that's
reconnected,
deep. Yeah,
I felt like something was taken away from my essence.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, and I realized I had run into like three, three, three different women, but they were all the same. And I realized what in dating them and dealing with them, I was trying to heal them. They all had their own emotional issues they was dealing with, and it kind of made some of them like kind of like you know, you trying to encourage them and help them. You
yeah,
know, it kind of made it seem like some of them hated you, and not because I'm talking down on them, but just because I wanted to encourage them, tell them they could do this or all that, and it made them like you know, angry at me, but me, I was always trying to be the healer and the,
yeah,
you know, I was on my protect the sisters and love my black women, but I had to realize that everybody is not my assignment. And I realized the reason I kept running into this, like with three of us exactly the same, is that I realized I was still trying to heal from the stuff I went through with the women in my own family,
yeah,
the trauma I dealt with them, and I was trying to, and I was looking at them, you know, and I was trying to, you know, heal them like I tried to heal them, but I realized
yeah,
in the end that I was really looking subconsciously for love. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be wanted. I wanted to be appreciated. I wanted to, you know, have a sister tell me like, you did well. You're doing good. And you
yeah,
know, and one in particular, you know, had me, you know, told me this early on. Like everything about me was great. Everything about me was good. You know, and then when we made it official, then it's like a 360 came. You know, that's like the
man,
textbook narcissist in a way. You know, you
man,
know
I've
the
been there.
textbook narcissist. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So in a way, you say so. In a way, it was so good in the beginning. You know, that love bomb. You like, oh man,
yeah,
this is happening. I finally found that one. So then it just turned. It's like a 360. So you trying to do everything right. You
yeah,
walking on eggshells to try to get back to like that moment, that love, like you know, like what happened. And you know, you
yeah,
realize they never get back to that because it was always kind of like a ploy to play you and
yeah,
all that. You know, and you know, it was that, and I realized, like, man, I was like, yeah, man, I got to like really sit with my pain and really got to deal with this. I realized that I was dealing with, you know, those issues from childhood, and that still affected me in my life, and I didn't even know it was affecting me. You know, it's like I say my greatest strength is my greatest weakness, and that's my empathy. And you know, so I had to learn how to set up boundaries. I had to learn how to, say no to, to even people that that was close to me. They know, like, when you friends with Trey, and Trey gonna go through the fire, but you have a friend for life. And I had a lot of even people I thought was my friends. I see that I was the one that was the friend, and they wasn't the friend like that. And that was painful too. That's one of the hurtful things when you realize that you go to bat for somebody, and they won't go to bat for you like that. That's
yeah.
painful. And a lot of brothers don't talk about that. Like when you
Like,
find out your
man,
friend ain't really your friend, because that
yeah,
hurts, man. You like,
that letdown. That was like, man, I'll give you my last, but
yeah,
when I'm on my last, you kind of look at me like I ain't beneficial no more. So
right,
now you kind of
right,
move on.
yeah, yeah, and that's painful because you be looking like, man, even when I'm struggling, man, I make an effort for this guy,
Yeah,
make an effort for them, but then I realize, like, whenever I need it, is they can't, they don't even make no effort. It's just no, and that ain't that ain't no mutually beneficial, brotherhood,
Mm.
mutually beneficial relationship with your girl or what. Like, it's just like you got to realize that, you know, it got to be 100, and that hurts. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when you feel like you've been played, and this is important. This is important for me to say this because like even dealing, with that relationship, like sometimes you feel like when you feel played and you realize somebody played you, man, somebody did you wrong. You don't have the most positive thoughts coming through. You know,
Nah,
you be like,
nah.
damn, man. You be like, damn, man. You be like, damn, I done done. You like, damn, man, I done done, I done done all this, and you play like that. You ready to hurt
Yeah,
somebody, and that's not the route to go. But that's where your emotional strength come in. That's where your discipline. That's where
yeah.
you come in, having a purpose, a reason for living. And a lot of times these guys that go over the edge, a lot of times they don't have no purpose or no reason for living.
So
I've
that's
been
why
a
a
youth
lot
counselor.
of people crash out. A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
I've been a
crash
youth
out
counselor.
because of that.
I've been
And that was a
a
big
youth counselor.
thing on. I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember the movie Juice, because you were the '90s baby
Oh,
thing, man. The
yeah.
movie Juice. That he
Oh, yeah.
said, "I don't even give a fuck about myself. So the moment that I don't give a fuck about you,
Yeah. And
like he literally gave the blueprint, and it was so deep, but people didn't catch on to it. That like he
yeah.
was saying that like he don't give a fuck about nothing. Like I don't care
Mhm.
about myself. The moment I don't care about you, you just another mark to me. And that's how a lot of people living today. It's like I don't give a fuck if I live or die. I don't give a fuck if I go to jail. I don't give a fuck what happened to me. So the moment you make me feel disrespected or slighted, I'm willing to take this shit to the fullest extent because I have nothing to lose.
See, and that's the key. You gotta be around people that got a reason for living and got a purpose. Because
Yeah.
like I said, I've been a youth counselor, and I remember working with some of those guys and them, and I was telling them like someone had kids already. I was in a maximum security juvenile facility, so it was basically prison for young men.
Yeah.
It went from age 12 to 21, so it was basically prison for them. And I remember talking to a guy. He
That's
said,
juvenile
like,
life, basically.
uh, uh,
That's juvenile life, basically.
yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it was just like I was talking to this one guy. He was like, "Man," I was like, "Man," he's like, "I just hope my baby mama ain't out doing nothing with nobody." And I told him the real because he was a teen. I said, "I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. Like, sometimes when you locked up, some of the women, depending on how long you locked up, they'll hold you down.
Yeah.
Some of them might be involved with a guy while you locked up just for the physical aspect.
Yeah.
You get out, they may quit. Some of them may, when you get out, they might still be dealing with you and him, and some of them may leave when you locked up." I said, but at the end of the day, you got to be there for your child. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
Everything you went through. So that's how I tried to like break it down. But I remember one guy said this. He said, man, if somebody mess with my baby mama, I'm locked up, man. I'll kill him. I was like, man, ain't that shit? He's like, no, man, no, I'm gonna kill him. And he was adamant about that. And it's like it was no getting through with him. And it's just like, I mean, that's what we're really dealing with out here. Like a lot of times, you got people who just they don't have the only reason for living is for another person, like
Yeah.
romantically. Like that ain't no way to live because people break up, people grow apart. People might want things different, people might cheat,
Yeah.
whatever. And that's just a reality. You got to be able to really bounce back from that. And I know in the African American community, our community, man, a lot of women will say like the. And I know a lot of men not like when I say this, but a lot of sisters will say that how you ever saw the memes they talking about Myron on the Players
Yeah.
Club, how they try to make fun of him like the square. They say like the square
Yeah.
dude and all that he go possess. But I said when you really look at black society, the men that's killing women when they don't want them is not the guys like Myron. It's the guys that's in the streets.
Yeah.
It's the guys that's thugs. They the ones that's really killing women when they don't want them.
That
So
goes back to that rejection though, because that goes back to
yeah,
like you gonna do that to me, like type deal. Like out of all you gonna play with me. Like out of
yeah,
all people, you gonna play with me. But then I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and kind of want to ask you, what is the the deepest lesson or biggest value that you feel like one can gain from actually reading your book or digesting your book, and not just reading it, but digesting it, taking in your testimony, your experiences, and your point of views. What can one learn from that?
that's a good question. I, that's a good question. Like I would say, for me, it just, I think it, like I was talking about on my podcast, it just shows, it shows that black men, we human.
Yeah.
It just shows we, despite how the media portrays us, despite how we might even walk down the street acting like we unaffected by it, it just shows that we're human.
Yeah.
I talk about, as an 18-year-old getting in an argument with my father at my grandma's house, and you know, uh, breaking down and crying in the bathroom, and my older cousin had to, be there to console me, because I was hurt by that, but to my how he always lied to me, and
Yeah.
it's stories like that. It's stories about like me being suicidal, me just looking for questions, and me being insecure, me it just shows my flaws. Like I talk about my flaws, I just put everything out there. Like it was just therapeutic. I talk about the pain I went through. Talk about the time when I was alone, and I as a kid, and I shed tears. I talk about the time I was alone with nobody around. That's the only time I felt like I was free, because I felt like when nobody looking at me and making fun of me. So
Yeah.
it's just it just me, like just uh letting it all go. It's like the window to my soul in a way. I just think at the end of the day, what you'll get is, that black men are human. That we not all of us are not crazy. We're not just hard. We're not just, we don't just want to hurt people. You got a black man who, me personally, I ain't never been a player. I thought about it, but it just wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of them don't believe that
Yeah.
those type of men exist. It's me. I was cool with having, if I could, I had that one woman, we ride off in the sunset, it would be good. If she loyal to me and right for me, and I ain't got to worry about her, going bad on me. That's what I wanted. That's what I want. But it just shows, I would say the unsung black man. I said, to me, the black man that nobody that people act like don't exist. The brother who tries to live a high moral life. The brother who doesn't try to violate. The brother who's not trying to shake your hand, and at the same time he's trying to steal your girl or mess with your girl behind your back. It
Yeah.
just shows a young brother who got a moral code. And I'm not doing shade to nobody, but because I have my flaws, I'm human. But it just shows that this black men are human. It just shows that it shows in a different light. You heard about the street stories. You heard about the brothers that sold drugs to make a living. Well, you had me like make an honest living. I mean,
Yeah.
I worked at Popeye's Chicken. In fact, I worked at the Popeye Chicken on 7 Mile and Grass. That
Oh
what happened a
man,
few
yeah.
years ago. That was,
Right across the street
yeah, I
from
worked at that
McDonald's,
one.
and right next to
Yeah,
that, I think it's like an
yeah,
eye doctor or some shit over there too. The
yeah.
Foot
I mean, it was
Locker,
one
the
by the churches,
Rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's. But it was a clean store when I was there. It was very clean. But I just,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just, I mean, what you get is like, if I think anything you go through, really, I think really, of course, it's come from the black male stuff, but it's really just a human story.
Yeah.
Like any human being can relate to that. I
Now, that's
talk to
more
women, they
definitely.
can relate to it. It's a human story, and it just shows you that, to me, at the end of it, shows that black men are we human beings first and
Yeah.
foremost.
So um so I asked you what's the impact that you feel like one or value that one can get from your book, but what is the legacy that you're trying to leave behind with your writings, and also just your legacy in general? What if you had to pick a what's it called? If you had to write a summary on your legacy that you're trying to leave behind, what would it be? Not just on the book, but just overall. Trey Styles, the man, the
Hmm.
author, the brother, the son,
Hmm.
the husband, the what is the legacy of Trey Styles?
Well, that's a good question as well. For me, I think I, I think it's just to show people that you can grow,
Yeah,
like despite your circumstances. Like my favorite artist, hip hop wise, like is Tupac.
I thought you were
I just feel
gonna
like
say DMX. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought you because you kind of remind me a little bit of a DMX.
yeah,
Like
I
Tupac too,
like
though.
X. I
Yeah,
like X, but I love Pac. You know,
yeah,
you know, for me personally, Pac is my goat. Everybody got their own opinion. For
yeah.
me, the reason, let me say the reason for that, man, is just like when you really think about the stuff that black men go through, like when you really think about, just think about it. Now, correct me, or just inform me if I'm overlooking somebody. When you think about the things just that we go through, like no artist really spoke to us like Pac to me. Like like even in his songs, like
Now,
you know.
oh, you say correct you. That's where DMX kind of come in at.
I
Like
hear you. I hear you.
you probably
I
from
hear
the
you, but
slipping. I'm falling. I can't get up. Like
and that's the jam. That's the jam. Let me say this.
yeah,
That's the jam. That that's the jam. Because I mean, but what I'm saying is like he talked about the struggle, and I'm talking about like the stuff that Pac said, like
yeah,
the things that black men go. Like he made it clear, like
yeah,
when he had sons, he talking about black men. You know what I'm saying? He mentioned names, the brothers going to pains, and
yeah,
just I don't feel nobody like X. I love X, like I'm saying, but like my Pac is
yeah,
just that's just my favorite artist. I just love when he talk about how the rose grew from the concrete, and I just
yeah.
feel like I was one of those roses. It's like you come from the same environment, you one of those roses. It's like and I just think essentially like my lasting impact for people is just to let people know that that you can grow, that you can grow, you can change, you can be better than your environment. You can change your environment, you can change the reality. I
Yeah.
talked to a guy one time. He was just so conditioned. He told me, "You can't change reality." I said, "Yes, you can." He said, "No, you can't." And I think what I was saying was just kind of like went over his head sometimes.
But then
Like
also too though, it's like to harp on what you just said, perception is reality. So if I've never seen nothing different, nobody
yeah,
showed me nothing different, it's kind of hard for me to believe in your words when the actions that I have seen in my life kind of all been the same.
yeah, and that's true. That and that is like, and in fact, sometimes perception is stronger than reality.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like you trying to get this kid telling me gonna grow up to be this or that, but all he see in his environment is alcoholics and drug addicts.
yeah.
So you tell me I'm gonna be this, and it's just like sometimes when we grow up in the hood, man, sometimes we get so much reality so early on that we can't even dream sometimes. Like
Yeah.
we can't even envision ourselves being something other than this. Like you gonna tell me this, but like all I see is this, and that's just
Yeah,
like
and ain't
that's
no
why I get back.
blueprint
That's
to
why
that. In their eyes, they don't see the blueprint. They
yeah,
don't see an actual roadmap. Or how can I actually be that person when I got to deal with this, that, and the third? And this is what made this person that way, and I'm going through that same type of cycle.
hmm yeah. That's why I would say like me being like
Yeah,
it's a lot of firsts. I pioneer in many respects. Like I was the first male to graduate high school in my
yeah.
family. First to graduate college, grad school, first to write a book, first to write a podcast. It's just a whole lot of firsts. It's just like
So
and
I understand. Yeah,
yeah. So for me, I wanted to be the example to the people in my family, like that they could change. And I remember like even just changing my eating habits,
yeah.
just eating different stuff. I remember some people just asking me why was I Muslim because I eat pork, and it just changed like just
I'm
changing
Muslim, so
everything.
I understand. I'm Muslim.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
it's just changing little things you eat. Like when when we had the cookout with the family, we got the
yeah.
grilled chicken over for you, Trey. And sometimes, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong with this? What is this gonna do? I
Yeah,
say I
some
don't be
people
drinking
hate
pot.
that though. I be
Yeah,
like, man, like, oh, if you got pork in it, I'm all right. Like, dang, you don't bacon?
yeah, yeah. They be on it, man. They be like,
You don't want a
come on,
ribs
man.
or nothing like that? I'm like, I'm all right.
Man, so I mean, I've been at
So,
it for a minute.
nah, I'm enjoying the conversation. We're gonna most definitely have to do a part two.
Okay.
But I got two questions before we end this podcast. I got two questions for you. The first one, I already asked you about the legacy. But if you was to sum up your journey that you didn't been through, how would you sum it up? Like if you were to put it into a word or a statement, what would it be? And
Mm,
and tell me why.
mm. Uh, if I had to say some for my journey, had to be like something I had to I had to learn to unlearn, then learn.
Yeah.
And and for me, because I was conditioned. I remember thinking because I had a cousin speak proper English. I remember
Yeah.
telling her when I was younger that she talked white. You know what I'm saying? No, because of how I grew up, and then it wasn't until years later when people was calling me weird and calling me nerd because I was reading that
Yeah.
I had to learn like, okay, now I see what she went through. You
Yeah.
know, and it don't feel good. That's like you bullying somebody when you're a kid, then somebody bully you, it don't feel good. Now okay, I don't like how that feels, so I'm not gonna do people like that. But for me, it's just a constant learning, just never stop learning. Like uh, my favorite thing in life to do is to learn,
Yeah.
you and like learn about myself, learn about the world, learn about things. And I remember talking to my older cousin. I was 18 years old, and he told me like, yeah, you a young brother growing up in the deep, man, but you're gonna be all right. Just keep focused, stay in school and all that. You're gonna be all
Yeah.
right. And
No, that's what's up.
years later, I realized like a lot of things he told me was true. About a lot of things about people and about life. And when I said I'll never do this, never do that, he said, never say what you won't do. I had those experiences. Like I said, I wouldn't do this, and I end up
Man,
doing this
you
and
ain't in the line. Man.
that.
Woo.
So it was just like for me, it's just like really just ever growing, man. I just love learning. I just
Yeah.
really love learning, and I mean it's beautiful, and then sometimes it's I call it the pain of growth. It's like uh because growing can be
That's good.
painful. Yeah, growing can be painful
Yeah.
because some people use like dang like I mean it just being life and period. I mean, just even having people in my life, man. Had a lot of losses in my life. A lot of my cousins, a lot of people. When I grew up as kids, I was like, man, now that we this age, some of them ain't even here in the physical form no more.
Yeah.
I can't even talk to them. They gone. They didn't get to see. Some of them didn't get to see my book published because they was gone. Someone was
Yeah.
murdered. Some died from diabetic comas. Car accidents.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just some in prison. It's just like wow. So my book was in a way is like when I wrote it, it was kind of like in a way like a Detroit Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just like man, I just love learning. It's like that. That's all I can really say. Like just continue to learn and like it's just like learn to unlearn and learn again. Because it's just like it's just like it's just the more you know, the more you think you know. Sometimes you see the more you don't know. It's just like so that's just me, man. I just love learning. I'm just always open to learning something new and just forever growing. Because if you don't continue to learn and grow, like that's not living to me. Like I'm just
Yeah.
existing if I'm not trying to learn and grow. I just can't stay stagnant like that. Because to me, I'd rather take death and just not do anything in my life and just stay stuck in the same place.
That's real. So what's next for Trey Styles? What can we expect from you coming in the near future, or just the overall goal that you're trying to reach? And how can
Oh, well,
people
me,
support that?
okay, me, first and foremost, like, actually, I'm a podcast, I'm an author.
Yeah.
The name of my book is Black Boy Arise. You find it on Amazon, paperback, or Kindle. You can also check out my podcast. It's called Black Man Talk.
Yeah.
It's one word, Black Man Talk, not black men, but black man with
Yeah.
the MAN. It's one word, Black Man Talk. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, or other social media platforms. And another thing that's up next for me is I'm pretty much done with my second book, which will be my second book. I'm done with it, which will be my first novel. And that should be coming out in the next few months or so. I'm just finishing up the editing process of that. So that's what's in the works for me.
You forgot the last part. So how can people support you or be along that journey with you?
Oh no, no, I said like well I mean you can check out my podcast. Number one, you can
Whoa,
check
whoa, yeah. Yeah,
you,
they could.
you check.
Um,
Say it again.
my bad. No, I was like, yeah, I got that part. Like they could check you out, but checking you out is just seeing what you got going on. How can
Mm-hmm.
people actually support though? Like the right support that you feel like you need to get it more so not just heard but get people aware.
Mm. Okay. I think it starts like. I mean, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding a little bit. I think it starts
Yeah, that might be
with working with people like you. You
okay.
know, me and you, with me and you working together, like
Yeah,
people who have like a similar mindset, like who have understanding, like that. That's how you build community right there. That's how
yeah,
you commune. We'll start with people like me and you,
yeah.
coming together and supporting each other and working with each other. And you introducing me to people, me introduce you to people, and I think that's where it pretty much starts at. Like, and if I guess if you care about community, care about the black community, care about black men, women, that's my lane. That's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Care about humanity, but I care about us,
You care about your
first and
people.
foremost.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think that's where it starts at. Because I said, like, well, you can support my book. You can find it on Amazon, Black Boy Rise. I said that, you can check out my podcast, support, episodes that's coming up. I'm becoming on future episodes. And of course, I love to have you on there as well.
yeah.
But, it's
I'm
just
definitely
like
come
that.
down for it.
Yeah. So I think it just starts with me, people like me and you just, coming together, like, building a community, with some
Yeah,
solid people. Like, you may not have, I always say, like, even when you get to start a podcast, you may not get 1 million followers, but just say you get 10,000 followers and you're talking about some serious content, like we're talking about. You might, 1,000 of them might be your supporters. You might put a project out and 1,000 might support out of that
yeah,
10,000. And that's a decent following right there,
yeah.
And so, I mean, it just starts with building your community and communing with people that care about things that you care about. I think that's the best way. Period. Like, just finding your tribe. Even when if you looking for someone to date, looking for somebody to build with, it's best to go places, you know, that you have an interest in, and you
Yeah.
more likely to find people with a similar mindset. Even if you having problems dating and stuff like that, if you care about, let's say, you African centered, when you go places where African centered people are at, you have a better chance of finding a connection. So it's just like communing with people, that got a similar mindset, like we do.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes from. Like, if you care about that, then you can always also you can reach out, email me at Trey Styles 978 at gmail.com. It's Trey Styles 978 at gmail.com. If
Yeah.
you like me on your podcast, or, you got my podcast is Black Men. So if you got some brothers
Yeah.
that's, doing some productive anywhere, especially in the city of Detroit,
Yeah.
then I'd love to have them on.
That's real. Hey, y'all heard what he said. He's looking for y'all and he want to have conversation. But just come prepared. Just come prepared. It's high vibrations over here.
Yes, yes, it is.
So before we close out, man, if you can describe your journey in one word, what would it be?
Mm.
You
One
gave a
word.
summary of what, summary of you, and your testimony, but if you could describe yourself in one word.
Describe myself in one word.
Yeah.
Um, Resilient.
My man. My man. Now, resilient, I feel like resilient is a good one for you because I feel like as what you've been talking and articulating is really going against the grain and
Mm-hmm.
enduring the trials and tribulations that come with that. Like, not knowing that you're not going to be accepted by everybody, but also going through that phase of dealing with rejection and finding, like what you said, finding your tribe. You got to be resilient. You can't give up just because, oh, damn, this person told me this ain't the best idea, or this per oh damn, my homie ain't supporting me, my family ain't supporting me. You gotta keep yearning and searching for what's right for you. Even when it comes down to your purpose. You gotta be resilient with that. You can't just be like, well, I don't know what it is. I probably ain't gonna never find what it is, so I'll just accept that fact. No, keep pushing through, keep persevering.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like it's ends the family, but ends me eating in the streets, which means making the most of their current circumstance. I feel like you embody that, and you are like the true definition of that because you
I
still out
appreciate that.
there every day. You 10 toes down. You building your cause, your movement, even yourself from the ground up. And a lot of
Yeah.
things start from the ground. Like I always tell people, like when you building a house, first thing you're gonna build is the foundation. You never think
Yeah.
about putting up the walls first. No, they're gonna build a solid foundation first, which is ground level, and then you work your way up.
Mm.
But until you get a level ground and I level mind, level heart, just translating that back to who we are as people. Until you get that solid foundation that you can actually stand on and move with, nothing else really matters. So if you start from the ground up and you find that solid foundation, everything you build from there is going to be on the rise. So I appreciate you for tapping in today, man. I appreciate you for sharing your story, your journey, but also enlightening us and giving us that energy, them high vibrations, and also giving us a sense of direction with this conversation. And the reason why I say a sense of direction is because basically what you said, ain't no other way but up. We already been down.
Yeah.
So it's figuring out how do we go up. And by doing that, you got to find yourself and identify with yourself first. Then it's up from there. So
That's true.
Trey Styles, man, hey, I commend you. Like I said, you are the epitome of you are like the definition of what ends mean to me, long story short.
I really
And I
appreciate that.
appreciate, yeah, like for real, I appreciate your testimony. I told you that first time we had a call. I'm like, dog,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you were like,
I
man, I
remember that.
guess it was destined for us just to talk to each other, man. Because I'm like, dog, like, man, who would ever thought that, like, just in a random spare moment of both of us being on the ground, that we was gonna bump heads with each other, and not bump heads on some negative type stuff, but just more so like our paths intertwined with each other, and we was able to make something happen from it. I pray and I hope that this conversation really touched those that it need to touch, even if it's three individuals. Like how you said, you was once that one person that was on that ledge, but you found your way off of it. You feel me? And man, I feel like this conversation is gonna touch somebody. So I appreciate you, man, and I wish the best for you in the future. We gonna stay tapped in. Like this, is how we start building community, finding
So,
like-minded individuals, and finding different ways how we can support each other. I'm most definitely looking for the invite on that podcast too,
oh,
man.
no, no, you most definitely gonna get that. Trust me.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So, man, peace be upon you, and I wish you much success within your journey. And for all y'all that was tuned in, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe, like, and share. And go tap in. Black Man Talk. You already know. He said it's on Kindle. Well, not the podcast, but the book is on Kindle, Amazon. The podcast is on Spotify. And tap in with my boy. Also, if y'all was tuned in to this live, y'all have the opportunity to go follow him so y'all can follow his journey. And if y'all want to, y'all can reach out to him, DM him if y'all want to continue to have your own personal conversation with him. It's your
Yes,
boy
sir.
Bash, huh?
Oh, no, I was saying yes, sir. I was saying yes, sir.
Yeah, it's your boy Bass, and y'all was tuned in to Insta Family Podcast. And this conversation coming to a close, but it is not over. All right, man.
All right.